Okay, hello out there, and welcome to another episode of the DJ the Money Coach Financial Expert Series, brought to you by the Seven Spheres of Money. I'm your host, Nick Westbrooks, and I'm joined by Mr. Seven Spheres of Money, DJ the Money Coach. And we have a special expert joining us today, expert in every sense of the word, no exaggeration. DJ will go ahead and introduce this gentleman.
Absolutely. What's going on? Happy TGIF Friday, baby. It's exciting to be alive in America, and especially as strong black men. I must say that. So, you know what? Welcome to DJ's Financial Expert Series. I'm DJ the Money Coach. You don't know my story real quickly. You know what? I used to be just like you. Came out of school, got that certificate that didn't guarantee me anything, but you know what it did? It gave me a whole bunch of debt. That's right. DEBT, debt, brother. I came out of college with $40,000 worth of consumable debt and $20,000 worth of student loan debt. And on top of that mountain, I had bad credit. That's right, baby. I had a 525 credit score, unbeknownst to me, and I actually minored in accounting. Can you imagine that? I knew nothing about personal finances. But you know what? I went down to the bank, tried to get me a mortgage on a house, and they told me, hey, brother, you make good money, but you in debt, brother, and you got bad credit. Reject. They rejected me. So I was like, you know what? Hey, man, no big deal. Didn't know. They told me. A couple of years later, I'm still grinding, making more money, built me a business, went back to the same bank. That's a tip, man. Don't go back to the same bank, especially when you've been banking there for a long time. And they rejected me for a small business loan and told me at that point, most of you guys and gals, you usually fold over and quit and start asking for the handouts from your government. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't play the victim role. I played the victor role. So I read a book called The Road to Wealth, and actually only read the one chapter about credit. I learned exactly how credit works and how it manipulates us and put these algorithms together to, benefit them and, knock us down. So within 12 months of reading that, understanding it, my credit score went from 525 to 720. 24 months after reading it, my credit score went to 800. And that's not what I'm excited about. What I'm excited about is that within 3 years to the date or something like that, I became consumer debt free. 2002, I wiped out all my debt, never filed bankruptcy, took responsibility for that debt because I got it. I signed my name on those credit cards to get them hats and the t-shirts and pay for them ramen noodles when I was in college and kick it a little bit too. I ain't gonna lie to you. I had a good time. And in 2008, I became financially independent. I had a 6-figure income and a 7-figure net worth, and I built that through businesses, investing in real estate, dividend stocks, and investing in startup companies and strong passive income. So that's not what I'm about excited about, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm excited about is that I created a curriculum from learning on my own and having a team come together to help me out called the 7 Spheres of Money that actually showed me how to line up with an accountant, line up with a financial planner, line up with a banker, line up with an attorney, line up with a gentleman like this guy we're about to introduce on this amazing platform, and got all my ducks in a row. And I put that curriculum into my community. Started with my church. Then I went to the YMCA. Then I went to the Federal Reserve. Then I went to the state of Illinois. Then I went to the state of Michigan. Then we moved all the way across the country. Long story short, 20 years later, we've helped over 20,000 people become consumer debt free, increase their credit scores by 100 points in 30 to 45 days or less, and become financially independent. And that's what we're about at the 7 Spheres of Money. And what we like to do is bring experts that exemplify and personify them exact principles and help other people. So this gentleman today actually has been on events with me at exhibitions and actually shown his wealth of knowledge specifically in the teacher's world. He's actually helped multiple teachers, principals, supervisors actually get their finances enrolled under the TRS form and actually help them live that pom-pom lifestyle. Not only has he done that, he's an amazing family man. As a beautiful wife, some amazing children that are living by the same principles and teaching them how to become entrepreneurs as well. And on top of that, he actually has put teams together that actually help them create wealth and building some amazing applications in the marketplace as a strong black man. And without further ado, This is not only an expert, but a great friend of mine, Gerald Brooks, the founder and the principal of the Momentum Financial Group that I've been blessed to be on the stage at the Texas High School Sports Coaching Association with multiple times. Gerald, how you doing today? Thanks for coming to the show, my friend, and thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Dale, I'm doing absolutely great. I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak on this platform. And, you said so many great things about me, but let me give it back to you. The things that I've been able to see you do has been absolutely amazing. The people that you've been able to help is absolutely amazing. The platforms that you put in place to bless so many people is absolutely amazing. I'm so grateful that you shared with me the pom-pom lifestyle. And to be honest with you, man, that's a lifestyle that I live my life by. And it's because of you that I even know what it means to have that pom-pom lifestyle. So again, thank you for inviting me on this call.
Oh man, thanks a lot, Brooks. I appreciate it. Hey man, we keep it, 100, we keep it conversational. So what we first want to do, tell us about your backstory. Who was Gerald Brooks when he was in high school, and what gave him the idea that he can actually be independently wealthy and own his own enterprise in America as a black man?
Well, that's a great question, Dale. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I was thinking about that today. I was like your typical kid who played sports. And, I don't know any kid who ever played sports who never had that desire to go pro. I mean, that was it. I wanted to go pro. And out of high school, I ended up going to a junior college in the middle of California, a place called West Hills Community College, which was in Kalinga, California. Now, understand this. I was so destined to play football that they recruited me with a video of the team practicing on the beach. They flew me in. Fresno, California is the nearest town. They flew us in at night. My mother happened to be with me as well. We drove through this town, middle of the night. It was pitch dark. And we woke up the next morning. I went outside, and all I saw were big tumbleweeds, just rolling down the street. And my mother asked me, son, are you sure you want to stay here? But again, I was so caught up in playing ball. That's all I wanted to do. And I'm so grateful that I stayed there because it kept me out of harm's danger. At that time, so much was happening in the mid-'80s. That's back when the crack epidemic hit. All of my buddies got caught up in the madness. And I really believe that for me being sheltered in a small country town, that really saved my life. And so after that, Dale, I graduated, came back to Houston. I actually have a degree in psychology of all things. And I went to graduate school, from 1995 to 1997. Now, here's the deal. I had extensive experience counseling. I wanted to be a counselor at the time. I had extensive experience. I did it all through college. I did it in college. I had extensive experience. I went to college. I received my master's degree. I applied for a job, and they denied me. And here I'm saying, well, how in the world can I be applying for a school that's predominantly, a black school trying to help black students and black kids? Here I am with the experience, with the degree, and they still did not hire me.
Wow.
So at that day, I'm going to tell you what happened, Dale. It was at that day when I left out of that interview and I found out I did not get the job, I told myself, this is the last time that I'll ever ask another person for a job in my life. And that was in 1997.
Wow.
And I happened to be working with a guy who was teaching me how to do finances, working in the school system, helping educators retire. It wasn't my dream. That was just something that I can do to create income so I can get out of my parents' home, because I had just moved back to Houston. And but it was at that time when I did not get that job. And I said, I'll never, ever work for another person in my life. And at that particular time, that's when I went full steam into the financial planning business, working with educators.
Wow. But how would you say you were at that time, Brooks?
Man, at that time, that was in 95. So I had to be maybe about 26, 27 years of age. And you know what's crazy, Daryl? About 2 years later, I saw the brother who actually interviewed me. I saw him at the gym. And I asked him, I said, look, I knew I was qualified for that job. I had all the experience. I had all the degrees. I was qualified and I was ready for that job. I said, why didn't you guys hire me? He said, to be honest with you, the way you interviewed, you came off so strong. I was afraid that you was going to go after my job.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and I thanked him at that time. I said, man, I want to thank you, because it was because of you that I decided to never, ever ask another man or woman for a job again in my life. And that's my story. That's how I got into the industry of our financial selves.
Man, let me let that seep in for a minute. So a brother was worried about his job because you were overqualified, so he denied you so he can conserve his position in the school system. Man, ain't that something, man? If that ain't the epitome of the crabs in the bucket, brother,
Yeah.
I don't know what is. But what he thought was conservation, God said, I got a better plan for you, Brooks. And that puts you on the pathway to not only your financial security, but helping other educators become financially, solid in their retirement days. So, man, talking from there, who was that person that actually became your mentor to actually help facilitate that move into the financial service business? Because you said it wasn't your dream. You were a psychology major. You were doing stuff to help people get their heads right. And all of a sudden you're doing something completely different. But the idea is that most of the times people's, limitations is a mental thing. And a lot of us don't even realize because being indoctrinated for hundreds of years, so they can't get outside of their own brain. And the way I look at it, Brooks, is this way. I always tell people, you know what? If you ever seen a pachyderm when he's small, they tie his leg with a chain and they put a metal, nail that's super huge they use for the train track, and they pound it into the ground. So that little pachyderm can't pull away no matter what his strength. But as he keep pulling, mentally his brain saying, hey, I tapped out. But when he becomes an elephant bull and they take it off, he's tapped out here. And that's why that guy with that little whip and that chain can control him.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So who was that person that broke you out of that mindset in that seminal moment where you said, I'm never going to ask anybody for a job, but you needed a blueprint to follow in order to become successful?
Well, there's a couple of brothers, man. One guy by the name of Chris Watson. There's another guy by the name of Anthony Muhammad. I met Anthony Muhammad in the gym. Now, at the gym, they had a program where they were actually helping students get scholarships. So I started working with them. And we posted a sign in our building. And I got a call by another guy by the name of Mark Darlington, who was in the insurance industry. He's the first person to actually put me into the insurance industry. I worked with him for about a year, and he realized that, look, Brooks, I really don't have what you need to succeed. He was honest, and I appreciate that. So he turned me on to this brother named Lincoln Carr. And it was a Lincoln Carr who actually exposed me to the world of financial planning for educators. And that was back in 1997 again. That's right after I got out of school, college.
Oh, man, that is all. Man, I like the theme here is that it was a brother.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's so amazing, Brooks, that, man, you turn on this idiot box, you turn on the social media, they always want to inundate us with all the negative stuff. But that stuff is the exception to the rule. This is the rule in our community, is that we do have 98% of the time strong black men helping out other brothers to actually get on the pathway to success. So inside that model of helping educators, what was it about the educators that you felt compelled to help them out for?
Well, with the educators, it was a lot of them lacked knowledge, to be honest with you. A lot of them, all they knew was teaching. Anything outside of teaching, it was totally oblivious to them. So it was a blessing that I was able to go in and just explain to them what their benefits were and how to maximize their benefits and how to utilize tax savings and all of that good stuff to help them create a stream of wealth, of financial income, so they can create wealth for their retirement.
So don't you have somebody pretty close to you that's actually in the education business that actually kind of opened up the door a little bit for you, Brooks?
Hey, man, I violated the golden rule, where they say, you don't eat where you sleep. I happened to be in New Orleans, Louisiana. I was at the school prospecting one morning. Saw this young lady walking across the parking lot, man. I said, dang, that's nice. Lo and behold, man, we met up. She did business with me. I got my little commission, but I paid that commission back to her many times over. But I actually met my wife in this business, so that was a great thing.
Oh, man, I love it, brother. I love it. I love it.
Sure.
I love it, man. That's good stuff. So that basically materialized. And tell us about the growth that you created, because you actually became number one in your sector and teaching and training and helping educators become number one. That's how I knew you. So talk about how you put a system in place, how you put that team, because again, on this Financial Expert Series interviews, what we like to do, Brooks, is show people a blueprint, a pathway, and I created this new acronym that actually me and a buddy, he brought it to me first, but then I added to it. It's the STEM, acronym, which, typically means science, technology, engineering, math. But then my buddy named Carl, he said, hey, man, it should be science, technology, entrepreneurship, and math. And then I said, whoa, hold up, man. I like that, but I got one better. I said, it's the STEAM program because it's science, technology, entrepreneurship, access, and membership and mentorship.
Exactly.
Because 9 out of 10 times, we don't get the access to get the mentorship to get us on the pathway to success. It don't have nothing to do generally with how smart you is, but it's the access and the mentorship that can put you on that pathway. So tell us, Brooks, how you put that Momentum Financial group together, because you got a phenomenal team that you compiled, and you've helped a ton of people, brother.
Well, I started out as an independent agent, like most people do. And then from being an independent agent, I met another guy, I spoke to him about the business, and we joined forces. And then we pooled our monies together, bought an office, got us an office building. And we just went out and started recruiting other agents to teach them everything they need to know about how to satisfy educators and help them build financial freedom. So like I said, we just use a model. It's a classic insurance model. You have to be an expert in what you do first so you can understand what it is wholeheartedly. Then you need to be able to share that with other people. But then you have to make sure that the people that you're bringing on, you have to make sure they're motivated and that they want it. But most importantly, we want to make sure that they're going to be honest and passionate, because the last thing you want is somebody who's carrying your business card with your name on it, and they're going out saying things that should not be said, or violating principles that should not be violated. And all of a sudden, when that takes place, the next thing you know, your company has no traction in the area where you're trying to build. So I've been extremely fortunate to have some great people around me, some great family men, great Christian men, great Muslim brothers. I mean, all of them. We've all worked together under one cause. And that was just to go out to really share with educators and help them plan successfully for their finances.
Oh, man, that's
everything I've learned, like 23 years in the business, I've had a chance to experience many, many people and see many different operations and understand how those operations work. One of the operations I worked, my first one, I learned what it was to be considerate of what your agents needed. Because, in so many times, you get guys who's the boss per se, and all they want to do is just hammer, and forget that they used to be in the same shoe of the person who's in there. So I made sure that when we started our organization, I wanted to make sure that I gave the agents an opportunity to create an income that was fair. Another thing that was important to me is to make sure that agents understood how residual income works. Because, see, when I first started out, I had no idea that there was anything such as residual income. I would go out, I would write the business, I would get paid for the business that I wrote, but I received no trails whatsoever on the business that was generated.
Hey, let me interject right here. I had the same experience, Brooks, when I got in, because usually when you first get in, man, you need every dime that you make, and you take that big commission on the front end, and you don't take any of them trails. And it was like, oh, hold up. This ain't the trick to long-term success. It's take the little amount on the front end and take them nice, steady 2-3% trailers. And that's where you see these cats that 10, 15 years in the business, they ain't got to work no more. But you know what I found out, Brooks? They don't usually tell us that little secret.
Hey, man, the guy that I was working with, Mr. Carr, he did not tell us that. To be honest with you, it was another guy who was who actually trained him, who pulled us to the side and said, look, it's something that you need to understand about the industry of insurance. And he pulled our coattail to us and told us, said, look, as you write business, you will get money up front, but you will also get money to service your customers to make sure they stay your customers. That is your money. It belongs to you. Right now, you're not receiving it. And that's what he shared with me. And once he shared that, we just started asking questions, and we started asking questions, and we started asking questions. And the more questions that we asked, the more friction that it created. So that's when I realized, okay, something hadn't been going right. So to be honest with you, Dale, in 2003, that's when we decided to leave the agency that we was working with. And that's when we started our own agency. And we built that agency on the principle to to be fair to every agent that we bring on board. You know, I have agents who worked with me before. I've had agents who left me before, but I've never had anybody who worked with me who left me because there was a money issue, ever. It may have been personality issues. It may have been goal issues. It may have been, you know, just a change of mind issues, but it's never, ever have I had a conflict with my guys because of money. Because I wanted to make sure that they always was paid fairly for the work that they did up front. Because I know as an insurance agent, man, we bust our butt to get those commissions. And I want people to have it. And because of that, some of the guys that I used to compete with, they now work in the same organization with me. And we've been working together now for the last 10, 15 years. And everything is solid.
Man, I love it. I love it. There's three things that come to mind that I was taught. Just like you, and we're going to talk about this on the back end about the network marketing business, which I'm a strong advocate for. I was in the Amway business back in the mid-90s, and they had these 3 cardinal rules, Brooks, which you just exemplified and personified. They said, number 1, never mess with a man's ego. Number 2, never mess with a man's significant other or spouse. And number 3, never mess with a man's money. And I have abided by those 3 cardinal rules all my life. And you exactly just hit the hammer on the nail. In our experience, I can testify, man. You say you paying something, you sponsoring, we doing business together, man, that money comes right there on time. A lot of times you give it to it before we even ask for it. And generally in most businesses that are commission-based, people usually try to short people or delay that money because they, robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Right.
And when you don't have that problem, you're able to keep great people on your team, man. And I think a lot of times people don't understand when you start out in business, you got to pay your team first before you pay yourself. I'm going to say this. You got to pay your team first before you pay yourself because you're invested in a system. And a lot of times people don't want to hear about the downside. So Brooks, talk to us about some of the challenges that you and I talked about duplicating yourself and actually creating a system, because you created a massive business. And then when you transition from that other organization, you started all well from scratch, brother. So don't downplay it, brother. I mean, most people don't come back from what you did. And that's the reason why I want you to talk to our people about the Financial Expert Series, because a lot of people think right now, entrepreneurship is so sexy right now. But when you and me got in the game, it was hard as hell. Pardon my French. But now everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. So talk to us about that, Brooks.
Well, like you say, Dale, it's a grind. But you have to have some mental strength to make it in this business, because number 1, you will get told no. Number 2, you will have people that's on your team that you think they're on your team, but at the same time that you're loving them, they're stabbing you. That's going to take place. You're going to have people in this business who's going to, just give you the world, but at the same time as they're giving you the world, they're taking it back from you at the same time. One of the greatest things that happened to me, Dale, was back in 2014. I built up our business. We had a good residual base, and we got approached by a company who wanted to buy a block of business from us. And we negotiated a good deal, and we did so. During that time, we sold our company. We made pretty good money on it, but we had to stay on as management for the company. Now, from a financial standpoint, it wasn't as great as I thought it would be. But from a knowledge standpoint, it was the best thing that could ever happen in my life. Because it was at that time that I truly learned the business of being in business. And this is the difference from being in business and understanding the business to being business. Dale, I was taught by guys who graduated from Yale and Harvard and all these titles. But one of the things that I learned the most was how other successful organizations, the reason why they're so successful is because they're organized. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, especially, I'm not going to say everybody, but with me, I'll speak to myself. Man, I was just blowing and going. I woke up in the morning knowing that I'm just going to go out here and sell, but I didn't have any plans whatsoever of what I wanted to hit. I was just going to get it. But with those guys, I learned how to plan to be in business, how to forecast, how to make sure that I had the right resources to provide the results that I needed to do, how to learn how to set a target, but within setting a target, understand all the different steps that it was going to take to get to that target. And it became a numbers game. So I'm grateful that they taught me, but I'm also grateful for the fact of this. In 2018, I decided that it was time for me to leave. And I think that's right when we met, around 2018.
Yeah, 2017,
2017. Yeah. Well, that was a crazy time for me, because that was probably the time that I damn near grinded all my teeth away, because I realized that business was not the move for me. But at the same time, I realized that, the money situation was totally crazy. So I brokered a deal with the guys who bought me out so I can get from under them. And I remember the CPA saying, Gerald, are you sure you want to do this? Because, man, you pretty much given up everything just so you can have your freedom. I said, man, everything that you've gave me, all the stocks you guys gave me, you can have them back. All the residuals that I have right now, do whatever you need to do to structure so you don't lose money, but also structure it so I can get my freedom back. So from 2014 to 2018, I basically started over from scratch. No residuals, no anything. All I had was my name to go on. And at that particular time, Dell, I went back to all of my clients, let them know that I'm starting my own company again. And we just started going to work. Now, the residual income that I had, Dell, we're talking about $50,000, $60,000, coming in with residual income on a monthly basis. The company kept that residual income. So in the first year of that 4-year buyback, I was only able to get 25% of my residuals.
Wow.
The second year, it was 50%. The third year, it was 75%. And the fourth year, I was able to get 100% of my residual income. But I was accustomed to having that money coming in. But then I had to start over from scratch. Now, understand this as well. It wasn't that I was starting over from scratch working out of my house. I was starting over from scratch in an office building that I was tied to, that I had to make sure that I paid those notes. I started out, when I started back, I had staff that depended upon me to pay their families. I had agents who depended on me to be in my best game so I can make sure I can continue to put them in the proper position. And you said something earlier. You said a lot of times you may not eat. And that was the case. There were several times that I struggled big time at my home. My lights flickered off and on. Started getting all kind of notices about my mortgage being ready to take it off. The IRS, not only did they contact me, but they started contacting my wife for their job.
Wow.
Yeah, man, all of this was going on. But I had to make sure that if I was going to get my business back strong, I had to make sure that my team stayed intact. And I made sure I did that. And because of that, that probably gave me the most resolve that I needed to go forward in life. And that was one of the greatest lessons. So if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you just got to be willing to do whatever it's going to take in order for you to be successful, because you're going to get hit in the mouth. The difference is what you're going to do after you get hit in the mouth. It's sort of like Mike Tyson. He said everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. But look, brother, I got hit in the mouth. I got kicked in the mouth. My business partner, he ended up leaving. So I was pretty much holding the ball by myself, 100%.
Wow.
So I had to do all kind of things just to make ends meet. I'm going to tell you who's my best friend, Bill. CashNet. You ever heard of them before?
Mm-hmm.
CashNet, man, I had so many payday loans that I was taking from CashNet that I had like a preferred membership with those guys.
Oh, wow.
And for every $1,800 that I got from those guys, I had to pay them back $2,200 in 30 days.
Woo.
Brother, that's how I had to survive. But I had to.
Wow. You hear that?
I was not going to sink. So I had to do whatever I can do to continue to swim.
Hey, Brooks, let me interject right here, because here's the thing I always tell these people on these social media platforms. I said, you know what? It's great, you young studs coming out here. You're making millions of dollars a year, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. But tell me what hardship have you had and what lesson you learned that you can actually teach somebody sincerely how to be a business person and actually last a lifetime. Because everybody wants to get rich quick stuff, but they don't realize, man, in order to really be in this game and be sustainable for a lifetime, you got to have some stories, some overcomings, and some intestinal fortitude. And most importantly, you got to be a God-given leader like John C. Maxwell talks about. Because and another thing I like that you exemplified, Brooks, is that your sons saw you go through this process. They didn't see you lay down and quit. You actually got stronger, and that showed them character. And the reason why I say that, man, you know, we just had this major storm, this freeze over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's looking for a plumber. I had busted pipes in my house, my neighbors, all of that. So they overcharging people, right? So we get a plumber. He come out, man, do a great job, blah, 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 put all these holes in my ceiling, bro. And he tells me, hey, my drywall guy be at your house tomorrow. Dude, that was 10 days ago. Dude, ghost me. Call him everything. And here's the more of the story. He had his son with him, Brooks. 20-year-old son. Just polite. You know, how you doing, Mr. Duransburg, blah, blah, blah. And Christian, who you know, my son, he's watching the kid. And when he doesn't come back, I said, son, what do you think that man taught his son? He was nice, did a great job on my pipes, but he ain't patched the holes in my wall, and I'm still trying to get people to come fix it. He said, Dad, he said, now I get it. When you get hard on me, and I think you hurt my feelings, I understand why you do that, because you can be as nice as you want to be and don't do the job. That's worse off. He said, so what he taught his son is how to get over and think that that's the right way to do business and be the man. And you taught just the excellent opposite to your sons. Man, dude, I applaud you, bro.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's funny, my son, I have a 13-year-old son. And the other day, he was talking to his buddies. And one of his buddies said, man, your dad is always home. What does he do for a living? He said he has his own business. He said his own business. So you mean that he doesn't have to go work for anybody? He said, no, he's his own boss. And my son was just having a casual conversation with him, like, that's what he does, because that's the only thing that he's ever seen his whole life. But his friend could not comprehend that whatsoever. So I'm glad to be able to exhibit to my sons that they can have whatever they wish to have, as long as they can dream and as long as they work towards having it. But the mindset that you have to go out and work for someone just so you can make ends meet, or just so you can provide for your family, they were not raised with that concept. You know, they have no idea how that concept works. Their dad has never, ever had to tell them that he could not take off of work so he couldn't go to a practice or a sporting event or a vacation. It doesn't exist. And I'm glad that my sons have that in them, because that's all they know.
Brooks, you know, that's one of the reasons why we get along so well, bro, because same thing here. You know, you seen my children. Mm-hmm. They ain't never seen their dad go in no office, have some man tell them what to do. And just like you, I'm working in my office, in my home, and occasionally we go to your office, do stuff. But the mindset, and I always tell people this from a psychological standpoint, what is average in your home? And people get this confused because they think average is what everybody has, but here's average. If I got a master's degree in psychology and I'm a business owner, that is average in my household, because that's all my children see. So their bar is already up here.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? So if I got a PhD or a doctorate and I'm living even better than anybody else, they're going to aspire to what they see you do, not what you say. Mm-hmm. Especially as young Black men, it is our responsibility to show them that we are owners. We are totally self-sustainable in this world, and ain't no excuses for us. And
100%.
That needs to be pushed out into the world all the time. With that said, Brooks, tell us, man, what you're doing right now, because I know you're excited about some great stuff you're doing. Tell us a little quip about your son and his investing, brother, because we need to share this wealth and knowledge with people, show them how to get to it, how to be on that STEAM program, science, technology, entrepreneurship, access, and mentorship to this real long, sustainable wealth, and not this get-rich-quick stuff we see on social media.
Well, let me address my oldest son to you first. I have one of my clients, they own a Smoothie King. And they were willing to give my son a job. You know, they say, you know, if your son want a job, you know, tell him to come by. I said, okay, I'll make sure my son knows about it. So I said, look, son, I got a client of mine who has a Smoothie King. And they're looking for some employees, somebody they can trust, somebody who's dependable. So immediately my son, you know, he went, did his research on his phone. He said, Dad, they make like $8, $9 an hour. You know, I mean, he was serious too. They make $8 and $9 an hour. And then I said, okay, I get it. I understand. That's not your value. You value more than that. So I'm not going to even, stress you by trying to make you step below what you value yourself as being. So he asked him, said, Dad, can you give me a Robinhood account? So I got him a Robinhood account, and he had some money from his grades and little stuff he did for his grandmother, made it odd and money. And one day, I know he took some whoopings. I know he took some licks while he was learning. But then he came to him and said, Dad, I made about $4,000 on Zoom stock. I said, you made $4,000 on Zoom stock? I said, yeah, Dad. So he showed me his phone. Sure enough, $4,000 Zoom. Then I said to myself, this boy is psychologically unemployable already. Already. No one will ever be able to employ him at all. And it's a good thing because with him, one of the things I tell people all the time, I ask my son, he's getting ready to go to college this fall, and he's majoring in business. I said, son, it's great you're majoring in business, but what is it that you want to do? He said, Dad, I want to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, with whom I want to do it with.
Woo!
Here's the deal. Most parents who's getting ready to spend $150K to send their kids to school, and that's the answer that they receive, they would probably fall off their chair. You got to be kidding, son. You got to do something. No, this ain't it. We need to do some intervention. Not me. I understood it. I understand it. I understand where he got it from. And I said, okay, son, here's the deal. I know what you want to do. Let me show you how you can get that done. And it happens to kind of segue into what I'm doing now, what I've kind of branched into. One of the companies that I'm working with now, we have a rideshare company. You're aware of this, called Vibra. And I said, look, this company right here, we're just starting it. In 2 years, this company will be just as popular, if not more popular, than Uber and Lyft. Before you graduate from high school, every kid in your school need to have this app on their phone. Every last one of them. In 24 months after this pandemic lifts and people get comfortable with rideshare again, this company will be one of the coolest companies to ride with in the entire world. And the people that you're giving to this app right now, in 24 months, they will start using it. And every time they hail a ride, the company's going to pay you a transactional fee based on every ride. So if you really want that lifestyle, I'm going to get this membership for you. You're not 18 years of age yet, so I'm going to put it into your mother's name. But it's your membership. This is your baby. Gather some of your buddies, because they're like in this business entrepreneurship program at Travis High School. Gather some of your buddies, assemble a team, and you guys go out and you start giving these apps away. And that's what they've been doing. And so I said, look, if you decide while you're in college that you're able to do more than what that degree that you're studying is going to give you, so man, I don't have a problem if you step away from it. But you have to make sure that if you do so, you got to make sure that you know that you have to go hard every single day to make it. So I put him in a position so he can win. If you want that lifestyle, if you want that pom-pom lifestyle, if you really want that pom-pom lifestyle, let me show you how to get it. So I didn't spend my time trying to fight him, trying to encourage him to do something else. So let me embrace this young brother where he's at, because he's where he is because of what I put in him from what he's seen in me. So instead of trying to fight him, let me show you how you can do it.
Oh, brother, that's what I'm talking about. Matter of fact, I got to get one for Rodney. I got to get one from Christian, because he already up on UT campus and he out there already started his investment club. So he might as well do this as well, because it's funny what you said, Brooks. Rodney said something similar to what your son said. He said, Dad, this literally last Saturday, he called me up. He said, Dad, you know what? I'm grateful because I got it now. What you've been showing me, I didn't realize how good we have it, because we don't have any limitations. We go everywhere that we want to go, when we want to go, however we want to go. And
Right.
and he was like, and he was talking about last year, because when they graduated, I took him and Christian on a trip during the pandemic down to Destin for like 10 days because they graduated. You only graduate once from high school,
Right.
from elementary school. I'm like, look, we're gonna take the procedures, be safe, but I'm not gonna rob my sons of this lifetime experience that I had, because we all in this fear, mode. So he called, he said, hey Dad, I'm up here on this campus and I'm coming across all kind of people sharp, but they're just like you said, what's your dad do? My dad is self-employed, on his own business, and he come and goes as he wants. And then he realized, he said, that's the lifestyle that I want because I already got it. And only way I can maintain it is to be totally owner in my own life. Exactly. And then he at that point he said, look, Dad, I'm gonna buy me some real estate because just staying in the dorm, it ain't cool. He said, I want a property next year when we go back to school. I got my couple of buddies. We gonna get us a house, rent it out, and live rent free while we building our investment day trading business. Exactly. And then I want to take my other, SAT score business and build on that. I said, man, I'm so proud of you, son. I said, this is what it's all about. No limitations, because if that's your passion, my job as your father is to provide you, again, access and mentorship.
Exactly, precisely.
Exactly. And seeing, another thing he said too, Brooks, he said, Dad, you only put me around other strong Black men that own their own businesses, and they do exactly what you do. And most likely, he said, they're all better off than you are. I said, yeah. Right, son, because guess what? If I'm the smartest guy in the team, I'm on the wrong team, bro. Exactly. He had a light bulb moment, Brooks. I was so happy, man. I said, man, I love you, son. I said, I'm proud of you. Tell me how I can help you out. And so much so, check this out. Here's the icing on the cake, Brooks. We just interviewed John Henry yesterday and his partner, Carrie Ann Nadeau from Loop, which is exploding. She's interviewing Rodney on Monday for internship because they want people to help spread the gospel for Loop. And that's a paid intern with stock options if he gets hired.
Oh, wow,
a startup that's going to go 10, 20x. So,
well, man, my son will be at Texas State, so he'll be right down the street from your son.
Hey, bro.
So make sure they connect.
Exactly. I mean, they've seen each other once or twice, and we tried to do some sports thing. But now that they both clicking on the same mindset, we got to make them that next generation to build that legacy.
It's the only mindset, man. It's the only mindset. Nothing else exists. Doesn't fit.
Man, I love it. So Brooks, what are you excited about in addition to rideshare in 2021? And what can you share with that young person that may be in high school, maybe in college, girl, boy, man, or woman that is now thinking about embarking upon entrepreneurship that they need to know from somebody who's got 20 plus years in the game and has created, if people didn't hear you, multiple millions of dollars of business that you created for somebody, then you create for yourself, had to restart, and you back up on it again. What can you talk to them about? Because this is what the Financial Series Expert Series is about, Brooks.
You know, I'm gonna sum it up for you with one statement. And you mentioned it in a way a few minutes ago about, not being the smartest person in your group. You also have to realize that you have to make sure that you always surround yourself with thinking that outthinks your thinking. Because if you ever think that your thinking is the absolute truth, then you're going to limit yourself. And so you always have to be amongst people. And even if you have to follow them and have to let them mentor you, if their thinking is at a level where you want to go and they're always changing the game, then you got to be with that type of thinking. Sort of like what you said, you can't be the richest one in your group because, you're going to stay where you are. But if you're surrounding yourself by multiple successful business people who's making multiple millions of dollars, then it's nothing can happen but you become that next person who's going to make that multiple millions of dollars because you guys are talking multi-million-dollar talk. You're not talking anything else because it's just a common language for people who have that. That's all they talk. That's all they know. They don't know lack. It's never, ever expressed. They don't know, we never talk about issues. We always talk about, prosperity. We always talking about, how we can help the next person up or how self-development is so important or tapping into the source where you can always win. What is success? Always making sure you tap into success. See, we don't talk about lack. We don't talk about can'ts. We talk about hows, what ifs. If you're surrounding yourself with a person who constantly is asking a question that start out with what if, then you're in the right place. Because as long as you continue to talk what ifs, that means you're always going to be open for exploratory processes. And the more that you explore, the more that you're going to grow. So if you're just starting out, surround yourself with a thinking that outthinks you, and keep it moving and humble yourself. Don't think that you know more than they know. And even if you do, keep your mouth shut because it's something that they know that you don't know. One of the issues with a lot of us, Dale, who's been in business for a long time, and we've been running our own show, we get to the point where we're not coachable, teachable, and trainable. See, we think we're coachable, teachable, and trainable until we get put in a position where we have to be coachable, teachable, and trainable. For example, one of my mentors is a brother by the name of Sam Beans. He's been working with me on this new enterprise that I'm with. And I've been successful in my own right, but he's been successful in this industry. And he's been pouring everything into me to help me reach that level of success. And it dawned on me after 2 years of working with this guy that I've been fighting him the whole way. Just fighting him.
Wow.
And all he's been trying to do is teach me how to increase my income to be more than a millionaire. And he learned from a multimillionaire how to be a millionaire, and he's teaching us all how to be those millionaires. And I was fighting him because I'm Gerald Brooks, CEO of Momentum Financial, as opposed to humbling myself and listening to this brother who has proven success in the world that he lives in, the world that I want to be a part of. So you just got to humble yourself. Surround yourself with a thinking that outthinks you, and humble yourself. Be teachable, be coachable, and be trainable, and go through that process so you can become that person. Because if not, then you're going to always be bucking your head, scraping your knees, blooding up your knuckles for absolutely nothing. And the more that you do that with people who's trying to help you, the more you're going to push them away. So for anybody who's just starting out, surround yourself with the thinking that outthinks you, and always strive to be coachable, teachable, and trainable.
Oh, man. Brooks, where can we get in touch with you? Give us your contact information, your email address, your business number, and how we can get you. Nick's going to put that in the links below in this interview because we know you're busy and we appreciate your time. And where can we contact you, brother, and get in touch with you?
The name is Gerald Brooks. My cell phone number is 832-216-8283. My email address is gbrooks at M as in Murray, F as in Frank, CANHELP.com. That's gbrooks at mfcanhelp.com.
Man, that is awesome.
Easy way to catch me.
Man, we end this the same way, and Nick is my moderator, and he also gives his insights of what he learned because he's the next generation, and we show how we mentor and we have access. So Nick, what did you get out of this financial expert series with this amazing leader and businessman, father man, husband, and believer?
This indeed is an amazing brother, and this was an amazing conversation. So what I took from this conversation, several major keys for entrepreneurship and for entrepreneurs, and also just for men in general. One being that you have to be willing to do what it takes to succeed in entrepreneurship, even in the midst of getting hit in the eye, in the mouth, even in the groin. He didn't mention that one either. Sometimes you get hit in the groin too, but you gotta, persevere and keep pushing and not to give up. Another major key you just mentioned a minute ago, this idea of big thinking and being teachable and trainable, and again, just like our previous shows and interviews, the importance of relationships, through networking and mentorships. And we got some major gems about being men, or like DJ, he hasn't used this acronym in a while, the HIM acronym, that humility, that integrity, and that M for the real Black man. And I see that in both you, Gerald, and DJ. And you're passing that on to your sons, giving your sons that exposure, showing how intergenerational wealth works. So those were the major keys that I got from this conversation. So, thank you again, Gerald, for joining us and giving us your time and sharing your story and your wisdom with us.
Appreciate it. Dale, if there's one other thing I want to say, and I'll be real quick because I know the
Yes,
hour
sir.
is up. One of the things that I want to make sure anybody who's thinking about going into financial planning, what they need to know is that there's really 5 stages. You know, the first stage with anybody is going to help them to understand if they have a pension or Social Security, how that works. You know, the second stage is to help them understand that they have to have some proper savings in place for that rainy day, just, you know, so they don't get themselves into credit card debt. Number 3, they want to make sure they have protection, just in case, you know, they have a broken leg or a heart attack or cancer, where it doesn't take everything away from them trying to pay for it. But number 4 and number 5 is what's most important. Stage 4, we want to make sure that people are investing in multiple places so they can minimize their risk, but at the same time maximize their gain. But what most people who's financial planners, what they do not stress the most, which is what I'm stressing the most right now, is that 5th stage of financial planning is business ownership. Because you can save all day long, but that's not going to get you rich. It'll help you have some money when you retire, but it will not allow you to have that pump lifestyle. You know, so one of the things I'm doing now, Dale, I'm going back to all of my clients, reevaluating their whole portfolios and plugging in the gaps. And now I have a business model that I can help them all maximize and take advantage of stage 5, which is from a business standpoint. So anybody who's doing financial planning, if you're not talking about business ownership, then you're actually doing your people a disservice, because you're going to stop them from receiving the tax breaks that we get as business owners. But at the same time, you're going to stop them from truly building that wealth that they're going to need to have that pump lifestyle. I just want to add that in before I leave, Bill.
Oh, man, Brooks, you couldn't end it on a better note. You know my mantra: if it don't have equity and ownership, I ain't interested in it, because I can't pass no job to my children.
Exactly.
But this equity and this ownership and this enterprise that we building in the 7 spheres of money, the Ransburg International, DJ the Money Coach, just like, you know, the companies that you run, your children can inherit those. Even if they don't want them, those are assets, can help them do other things in life. You are absolutely, I think you are being irresponsible as advisor if you're not telling your clients about business ownership in some capacity. Even if they don't want to hear about it, you have the responsibility to share with them. It kind of is equivalent to this. If you go to the pearly gates and meet your Lord and Savior, and he asks you, hey, did you not tell everybody about the gospel? Then you failed.
Exactly.
He didn't ask you, did they receive it? But did you tell everybody about the gospel? And that's what it is. And to wrap this up, thanks, Nick, for reminding me about him, because this man is him. Humility, integrity, man of God, and a strong black man and a pillar in our society. Brooks, man, I thank you for being my friend first and foremost. I thank you for being somebody that I can look up to, that I can keep my kids around so that they can fellowship with your children. And I thank you for continuing to spread the gospel of equity and ownership to everybody we come in contact with, brother. So we're going to continue to work together. And as we always end this bad boy, we wish everybody a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. Come join us on the beaches of the World Club. And guess what? The beach don't have to be an ocean. It's wherever your freedom is. That's your beach. I'm DJ the Money Coach for Nick Westbrooks and our amazing guest, Gerald Brooks. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you.